Yeah. We work as tour guides. We can give tours 364 days a year. One day we can't. New York, Savannah, and on into Chicago. Which one's warmer? One of these stops every 15 minutes. And they're going to do that all lost. Hello, friends. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you. I'm going to have my coat. Now, before we get there, I'm going to share with you a little bit of our early history. I'm going to tell you how we got started as a colony. You can enjoy $100 fine if I do that. And I love y'all, but I don't love you that much, right? So that's why it's important where you get off the trolley. That's where you want to get back on. Independent Presbyterian Church, over to your right. That is 1891. President Woodrow Wilson got married in that church. But it's more famous for its steeple. Look up at that. It was facing towards us. Now the square is named Battle of Chippewa. That was a location in Canada where there was a big American victory in the War of 1812. Now, back in the 19th century, if I wanted to impress you with my vast wealth, one of the things I might have done would have been to wrap my home with elaborate wrought iron fencing like our friends the Barrows did to their Romanesque revival style mansion. This was built in 1847. Iron fish. Sometimes less is more. Now I'm going to have you switch gears and look in the center of our square to your left. That is General Oglethorpe, and of course he's facing south towards Florida with his sword out, and he has to be exhausted. He has not moved since 1910, 107 years. Coming up on your right is an English pub called the Sixpence. This was featured in the romantic comedy Something to Talk About with Julia Roberts. Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil is huge around here. The Legend of Bagger Vance, Forrest Gump, the original Cape Fear with Robert Mitchum. The original Longest Yard and Gator with old Burt Reynolds. You gotta love Burt, right? And who could forget the classic? This is up there with Go with the Wind. I'm talking about SpongeBob SquarePants 2, the movie. Now, I do want to let all you ladies know that they recently wrapped up filming a movie here in Savannah a little over 2 years ago that I'm in. And I want you to look for me in that movie. I have a major part. That's Magic Mike 2. Guys, this is stop number 3. Stop number 3. Now this is where you can go see the Mercer Williams house, made famous for Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, and straight ahead in Monterey Square. This is our stop number 3. And I'm going to surrender. Spared the fate of Atlanta by burning, ladies and gentlemen, General Sherman's headquarters for 2 months with the Green Meldrum House on your right. It was built in 1853 for British cotton merchant Charles Green. On the second floor of this building is where our American history was made. That is where General Sherman composed that famous telegram to President Lincoln, presenting this city as a Christmas gift with 150 heavy guns and 25,000 bales of cotton. We always associate Savannah with the Civil War, and we should. That bloody war galvanized our nation. It made us who we are. But what a lot of people aren't really aware of is that where we're driving right now was the scene of the second bloodiest battle of the Revolutionary War. October 9th, 1779, the Continental Army fought to liberate this city from the British in what became known as the Siege of Savannah, the second bloodiest battle of the Revolutionary War. We We don't talk about it a lot because it was a ridiculous disaster. There were 50 British casualties. This city never was liberated. These soldiers were buried right where they fell. We're still finding the relics and remains today. Right here is where some of them before that alleged shooting. They're true events, and they occurred in this house to your right. That's the Mercer Williams house, built for Confederate General Hugh Mercer in 1860. So Jim bought this house in 1969 and restored it. Late one evening in 1981, right there in that room, is where Jim allegedly shot Danny, his assistant. Guys, Jim Williams is the only man in Georgia history to have been tried for the same crime every time. But the kicker is, allegedly shot Danny a few days after being found not guilty. There's a lot of people that believe that was a result of voodoo or black magic. There is an element of that in this city who believe that sort of thing. Right here, right. And start taking a gander to your left, everybody. Our park, Forsyth Park. That big 50-foot tall monument, that was placed there in here after the end of the Civil War in 1875 by the widows of Confederate veterans for their husbands. Inside of our version of Central Park. This is Forsyth Park, and it's been around well over 150 years. Who brought this cold weather with him? You know our azaleas were blooming, right? I only literally wear long pants like 3 times a year, and today's one of those. It made any sense for them to have been dashing through the humidity. Now guys, we're about to come up into the crown jewel of the state. This is St. John's the Baptist Catholic Cathedral. It's the oldest Catholic church in the state, 1799 congregation. This version of the church is the third version. It is 1896. The stained glass and the woodwork come from Innsbruck, Austria. It has been justified with rain and coffee that will see. Now, if they're open, they're going to let you walk in here for free and you can use your cameras. Now, we're getting ready for St. Patrick's Day, so if it is open, this may be your opportunity to go inside this beautiful cathedral, guys. Of course, we're a little bit warmer than the rest of those, so. But I do point out ironic things, and if this next example of point of interest is not ironic, I'm in the wrong line of work. Now, you do know in the 1800s, fellas could be mighty thin-skinned. Honor could be easily insulted. Things would escalate and snowball. You would have a duel on your hands. Savannah had a designated dueling field where these fellas hashed out their affairs of honor with flintlock pistols, and it is where children play today. Beyond those bleachers is a playground. That was Savannah's designated dueling field. And I want to tell you what, the loser did not have very far to go, did he? When I say this is literally a city built upon the dead, look at the vault here to your right. It's sticking out on the sidewalk because this fence is not the original boundary of the cemetery. Guess what? It's over here somewhere. We're not quite sure where, and we're not going to start looking. Now, there are around 600 markers, vaults, and tombstones in that cemetery. Guys, it's believed there are over 10,000 souls buried here. Why? This dignitary is buried in that cemetery. One of our signers of the Declaration of Independence from Georgia. His name was Butt Gwinnett. We had 3 signers. Butt was one of those. But he got killed on that dueling field By his good buddy, General McIntosh. They're both buried in that cemetery. McIntosh was the highest-ranking soldier from Georgia in the Continental Army during the Revolution. They were buddies, they were hotheads, they had a falling out. To your left is our fire bell. They did it in 5,500 mil early warning system. Gas 1870. We have 3 horrible fires. 1860. That house was built in 1821 for Supreme Court Justice from Savannah by the name of James Wayne. Girl Scouts bought that home in 1954. If you're a Girl Scout, you can see the patch the men built. And to the best of my knowledge, it is the only place in the universe where you can get thin mints and do-si-dos all year long. Charleston's kind of gentrified. It's got a little unusualness about it. Now, on the cover of the book, on the movie poster, is a statue of a little girl called the Bird Girl. She originally lived in Bonaventure Cemetery. She's right there, to your left on the second floor in the breezeway between the art museum. Now, they had to bring her inside. Late 1990s because of the popularity of the book and the movie. Like I said, she originally was in Bonaventure Cemetery, which I suggest you go check out at some point while you're here in Savannah. It is a classic Victorian cemetery, and it is lovely. Now, this is Telfair Square. This is a one square we can add that's named for a family, the Telfairs. Man, that must be some kind of family, right? And they gave our state a lot of good governors and philanthropists. Patriarch of the family, Alexander Telfair. Now, his mansion is still standing right here in this square. Now, when old Alexander passed away, the man would see to it through his will that his home be turned into an art museum. Not just any art museum, ladies and gentlemen. Check it out. The first public art museum in the South, and arguably one of the first in the U.S. Built 198 years ago in 1819. That is the Telfair Academy of Arts and Sciences. You know, it's still operating as an art museum, and I have been in here and I have seen the beautiful sculptures and oil paintings inside that building. And I didn't have a clue what I was looking at, but I knew that it was purdy. Right? That's what we say that around here. P-U-R-D-Y. You got to draw it out. Now, to get to that art museum, you would be getting off at our next stop. And our next stop is a biggie. It's stop number 7, and it's City Market. This is ground zero for restaurants, candy stores, and you can demolish a credit card right here on this road. I got to point out burgers, and of course you got a lot of the chain stuff. You got your raw wings, all kinds of stuff. You got this is our stop number 7. City Market. Anybody, anyone? City Market. Have a good one, boss. Oh, it's about 15 minutes east of town, going out towards Tybee Island. I would need a few minutes to explain to you. It's really all, you go on Victory Drive. Of course, now, this square is Franklin Square. We all know who this is named for, right? This is one of the original 6 squares. We're going to be looping back around through here. But here in a moment, I'm going to turn out on the Bay Street. And this road I'm about to turn out on is the oldest land road in the state of Georgia. This road is 284 years old. Laid out by our founder, General of the Fort, when he arrived in 1733. It is called Bay Street. It's called It can take about 6 months to get there in a trolley. And if I were to keep driving straight for 24 minutes, I'd drive us right off the pier in the Atlantic Ocean east. And I mean this happens, you know, Tybee Island is straight ahead, that's all we do. And our reason the General chose this location is because where these buildings are here on your left, this was a 70-foot high sand bluff, and this can be easily defended. Our stop number 10 is it's normally down on River Street, but because we're getting geared up for parade, they have closed vehicular traffic on River Street. So to access River Street today, you would get off at stop number 11, and all you do is just walk across the street. And what I dig about being down there, guys, is this is literally a history museum without a road. 1776. Now, the reason I dig this square is because buried in the center of it is an American Revolutionary War hero who was bad to the bone. Another hero buried here in Savannah, guys. Underneath the tombstone that looks like a Roman sword are the remains of General Nathaniel Greene from Rhode Island. Who has heard of General Greene? Okay, well, let me throw this at you. Who's heard of George Washington? This was his second in command. This was his chief of staff. The man buried here turned the tide of the Revolutionary War with his consecutive victories in the southern colonies. You ever seen the movie The Patriot? That's a bunch of Hollywood mumbo-jumbo, but that is loosely based on 2 fellas rolled up into one. Francis Marion, the Swamp Fox, and General Greene. That is what his tombstone looks like. Now, what in the wide world of sports is General Greene from Rhode Island? Why is he buried here in the heart of Savannah? This man sacrificed everything for our independence, including his what? Money. And he outfitted and armed soldiers out of his pocket. When the war was over, he was broke. So we decided to help the man out. We gave him some land here in this city, not too far away. Very long. And we're coming up into Wright Square. This is named for the last royal governor we had here in Georgia. Said to be the most haunted square and the most haunted city in America, because right here, guys, is where the gallows stood. This is where people were hung. On your right is where the old colonial jail stood. And that is said to be the most haunted CVS pharmacy in the nation. They have a hard time closing up when you got Listerine flying all over the building, right? Now, I've always been told you will never see Spanish moss grow wherever innocent blood has been spilled. This is an square, what they call it, Den Square. I'm sure if I ever did, it'd be about the size of a litter box, right?
Now to the hotel, go.
Now, in this square is a mansion that many experts and architects, Thomas House, those were owners that would come a little bit later on. But when William J. designed this house, buddy, it was State Street. And those are 200-year-old buildings down there. this is where it all started. Because this house was going to be torn down in 1954 and made into a parking lot. 7 local ladies pulled their money together, bought this house for $22,000 and saved it, and that was the start of the historic Savannah Foundation. We call those ladies the Magnificent Seven. Oh, it's so good, and this is the time to act on it. Dating to 1754. A pretty good authority on the real subject of pirates was Robert Louis Stevenson. He wrote a couple of books, Treasure Island and Kidnapped. This building is in both of those books. It is where Captain Flint dies. Now there's tunnels in this building leading down to the Savannah River. These tunnels were used for what's called Shanghai sailors, which is essentially kidnapping a sailor against his will and forcing him to wear. And ladies and gentlemen, this is our stop, number 9. This is the Pirate.
Smile with the mustache. You're having mustache or no? You are so old.
We're gonna get the buffet there, that's mac and cheese and crab stick and all kinds of stuff. Did we get straws for the...
Yeah. Dirty.
You need 2 units.
Dirty, blow it a little bit. Blow the mustache.
St. Patrick's Day season here. It's open street fishing here. To your right, you see two cannon. They were sent to Savannah by General Washington in 1791 after a 3-day visit here. He captured the cannons from General Cornwallis in the Battle of Yorktown. On our left, U.S. Customs House, built 1852. Built from granite that was shipped to Savannah from Quincy, Massachusetts. Coming to the left, the Moon River Brewing Company. This building dates to 1820. Built as the Savannah Hotel. 30 years ago, a gentleman from Maine came to Savannah, started and opened his first microbrewery right there in the old hotel building.